Sunnahfollowers, protectors of the Sunnah. Sunnahfollowers, protectors of the Sunnah.
Alhamdulillah, wa salam Allah, wa rasulullah. Welcome to another session of Sunnahfollowers Hadith class. And this is the Hadith class wherein we discuss Hadiths that relate to women and women issues in Islam. And let's put the Hadith up for discussion today. And the source of this Hadith is Sahih Bukhari. And as you already know, they ain't only a person that's uneducated would question any Hadith from Sahih Bukhari. And this hadith is narrated by Aisha. She tells us that once Sauda, her co-wife, Sauda, she went out at night to answer the call of nature. And Umar happened to recognize her. And he said, by Allah, O Sauda, you can't hide from us. So she went back to the Prophet and told him that while he told him what happened while he was visiting with Aisha. In fact, he was eating his dinner with Aisha and holding a bone with meat in his hand. And that's when Allah sent down the revelation telling, oh, women, you have been allowed by Allah to go outside the home to answer the call of nature. This is also when the verses of hijab were revealed. And just to give you the history of this hadith, the one wife that Aisha really loved and got along with was Sauda. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam married Sauda after Khadijah had died. And the reason he married her was not just because she was a righteous woman, because she really was, but also she had children and she had experience raising children. And he needed someone to help him to take care of his daughters since their mother had passed away. So he married Sauda. And also right after Sauda is when he married Aisha. And when he married Aisha, Aisha was only, he married her at the age of 6. But she did not become his wife until she reached the age of puberty. And when she reached the age of puberty, she moved in with Sauda because Aisha was a young girl and Sauda was the one that taught her how to be a wife. She taught her how to cook. She taught her how to clean and all of that. And Aisha loved Sauda. And she used to play all type of little games on Sauda and all of this. Okay, so what happened in this hadith is one night, this is before Allah sent down the verses of hijab. You know, they didn't have bathrooms in their homes back in those days. They would go outside and answer the call of nature in a trench. So it was nighttime and Sauda had to use the bathroom. So she left the house to go answer the call of nature, and Umar was walking around outside, always on guard against any enemies. And he noticed that Sauda, who was one of the wives of the Prophet, was out walking at night. And he said, oh, Sauda, he was trying to get her to go back home. You know, I can see who you are. We have to remember the Quraysh. The Quraysh are planning to attack us. What if one of them came? What if Abu Sufyan drove up here with some enemies and they were going to attack us? They would recognize you as being the Prophet's wife and they could take you as a hostage. So he was like, you need to go back home, Sauda. You can't hide from us. You can't hide from anyone. They know that you're the Prophet's wife. And that's when Sauda was looking at him like, it's okay, I'm just going to use the bathroom. I'm going home. So she went on and used the bathroom, and then she went back went to the Prophet's house. He was with Aisha, and she told the Prophet what happened. And that's when the prophet, she said, did I do something wrong? She said, Umar panicked because he saw me, and, I know that the Quraysh are planning to attack us. Did I commit a sin? And that's when the prophet was hesitant. He held the meat. That's when Allah's revelation said, no, it's okay. Women can leave their home at night to answer the call of nature. What else are you going to do? And then after that, just to let you guys know, this hadith goes on. The next morning, after the prophet led the people in the Fajr prayer, Umar approached him and said, oh, Umar, oh, prophet of Allah, I really hate the fact that there's nothing we can do to hide our women. He said, I wish that the women could dress in a way where nobody would know who they are. He said, because I'm so afraid that someone could take one of your wives and use her as a hostage against you, or to try to hurt you. They could take one of your wives. He said, I really wish that there was some way that we could hide our women publicly so that the enemies of Allah would not know who the women, which wife or which woman it is. And that day is when Allah sent down the verses of the Quran saying, oh, you women who believe, when you leave your homes, draw your hijabs over your chest and wear jilbabs or outer garments, because you never know what evil will lurk in the night or lurk in the heart of man. That's when the verses of hijab were revealed. So Allah agreed with Umar. It is better for us women to cover ourselves because it's a protection for us. It's a protection for us. We all dress alike in hijab and jilbab. Jilbab is outer garment, loose fitting garments. So we're all walking outside at night with loose fitting garments on. You can't tell who's Layla, who's Amina Fresno in the night, because we all got these beautiful long hijabs on, like I'm wearing mine, which covers your bosom. That's how you should be wearing yours too. And I got a jilbab on, and we all dress like this. You don't know who's who. Okay. So that's when Allah sent down the verses of hijab. It's for the protection of us women. It's not to oppress a woman. And when Allah sent those verses down, the women immediately began to cover themselves. And that made it harder for the unbelievers, because it wasn't just the Quraysh. The prophet had to contend with the Jews too. The Jews were embracing Islam, pretending to be Muslims when they were really plotting and spying for the Quraysh. We can keep our eye on our wives in the daytime, but in the nighttime, when they go out to answer the call of nature, that's when they could be abducted. So that's why those verses were revealed. And so, and of course, that way the women were better protected. A person couldn't abduct one of the prophet's wives thinking that they could barter her against him and all of that. So that's what this hadith is speaking about. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he rested her assured. He said, honey, you did nothing wrong. Allah says that women can go out at night to answer the call of nature. You have no choice. What you supposed to do? Do it on yourself in the home. Go on out and take care of your business, but make sure you wear your overgarments. Make sure you have on a hijab. Make sure you have on a jilbab so nobody knows who you are. And that's what the women did. And we've been wearing hijabs and jilbabs ever since. It's for our betterment, for our protection. And you guys have to understand something else. The prophet's wives were beautiful women. They were not plain Janes. They were all extremely beautiful. Sauda was a little fat, and that's how they could tell who she was, because she was kind of obese a little bit. And that's what Umar said, I can tell from the shape of your body. He knew from her shape that was sort of, because she was kind of overweight. But when she puts the jilbab on, she looks like don't look. All of us look the same. You can't tell how skinny this person is from how fat that person is if we're all wearing overgarments and we're all wearing hijabs. So that's what he meant when he told her, you can't hide who you are. I know that's you from the shape of your body. And also this happened again with another one of the prophet's wives, Salama. Salama was very tall. She was a very tall, staturist woman. And Umar used to tell her, I can tell who you are from your height, because Salama was taller than Muslim women. But now that we all put on the jilbab, we all put on the hijab and cover and go out at night, you don't know who's who. Okay? So this is just one of the instances in which Allah agreed with Umar. He agreed with Umar in 3 things. But this is one of the first, the fact that women should cover up. So that way, when they go out in the public, no one knows who they are. And it's a protection for them. Because some of the prophet's wives, I mean, they all were beautiful. Like I said, Salama was very attractive, very tall, very statuesque, like a model. Safiya was very beautiful. Zainab was, they said, was drop dead gorgeous. Okay, they had nice shapes, nice bodies. So covering up that stuff, you know, it protects us women. Like to the day, we can show our face and our hands. And if you think that face and hands attractive, you need to thank God you can't see the rest of us. Okay. All right. So now that I've explained that hadith, the meaning, the history, and whatever else about it, how it was revealed and everything else, who'd like to comment?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Just like we've learned from the other hadiths, this is a very excellent one because it not only, I mean, it shows how Allah feels about the woman, and it is a protection. Covering is a protection for her, because then she's not leaving herself open to, you know, evil that exists outside the home. You know, dangers, you know, this was a time of war, but even now, you know, it's dangerous for a woman to go out and she's revealing parts of her body to the public, you know, that only her husband should see. And Allah made many laws, many laws, but they were for our protection, and they are protecting us.
Exactly. We should never look at Allah's laws as being oppressive. But unfortunately, this generation of Muslims, we are so far away from the Sunnah that we got children today, you know, who think that, oh, it's so oppressive to cover up. If I don't look like Beyonce, then I'm ugly. If I don't look like Britney, I'm ugly. Or if I got to cover up my hair, I don't have no beauty, because unfortunately, we don't instill the self-esteem into our children that was instilled in them when my generation, because it was a different time, a different era. Or you look at somebody like Fresno, who came close from out of slavery days. Different times, different circumstances. Nowadays, we are not faced with that type of civil rancor. And because that civil rancor is not happening, you know, we're not enforcing certain morals into our children. And instead, we're allowing society to put those morals on them based on what they see on TV. We didn't have TV when I was growing up, you know, TV and all that garbage, you know. So again, you know, but we have to teach our children as Muslims that Allah's laws were not made to hurt or to oppress or to demean anyone. Every law he made for women and men is to protect us. His laws are for our betterment, even if we don't understand why. We have to submit, accept them, and do them and don't question them. Okay, anyone else?
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
I know for a fact that a woman that's covered, a Muslim woman that's covered, you get so much respect from these Kafirs right here. They bow down, they yes, sister. You know, you don't get disrespected. So it really is a protection. Because if you wasn't covered up, they'll be coming at you like you one of them regular somebody's on the street with not no sister, just what's going on, baby, and hitting you on your butt and all that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. We know that because we believe in Allah. You believe in Allah like I do. We think it's crazy that people don't cover up. The people that don't cover up think that we crazy because we do. You know, we know that. But how many of the people, the children and the youth and the women that are much younger than us, Amina's in her 70s hitting 80. I'm in my 60s. What about these women that's in their 20s and 30s and 40s? They don't get that. Because like I said, they come from a different era than us. We come from the civil rights movement. There ain't no civil rights movement here. These women here don't come from that era and they're not conditioned to believe that. You know, so it's up to the parents, you Muslim parents, to instill these morals and scruples in your children so your girls won't be ashamed to wear a hijab. Your girls won't think that they're less than anyone, that they won't think that it's a punishment instead of a protection. You know, that's the problem. They're not instilling this into the kids today. You know, and because the kids are growing up spoiled. They don't have to deal with the social strife that we had to deal with in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s. Those were horrible times in America's history. Okay, anyone else?
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
I'm not lagging today, right?
Just talk.
Okay. Okay, I was about to say this is a good hadith because, you know, just like you said, you know, Allah instructs us to do something and it's for our own benefit, you know. And then when you think about it, your body is something Allah to you with, you know, and you have to listen to what Allah said, the way He instructed, how you treat, like how you're supposed to live in that body. Because when you think about it, you know, your body is something just temporary. It doesn't belong to you, you know. So if you just listen to all the instruction Allah give you, then you know you're good to go. And just, you know, I know some people say that the hijab doesn't like empower them. For me, the hijab's like, it makes me even more stronger, you know, because it shows me what faith I come from, and it also shows me, you know, it also shows me how I'm like the strong women back then. And it's just something you think about, you know, and whenever you always have to think about, whenever you think about the hijab, just think about, you know, what Allah ordered for us, you know, and how He gives us value as a human being, you know, because yeah, and it makes us live like the way we're living. It makes us live it, and it makes us dignified and stuff.
Exactly, and that's an example. Aisha is one of the youth of today, but alhamdulillah, she grew up on this website on Sunnahfollowers. So she's been coming to my classes since she was a young girl. So that's one thing I focus on is aqidah, and character building, the Islamic personality. So, and that stuff's been enforced in her. So she can wear her hijab and she doesn't feel shame for it. She feels empowered because of that's what was enforced in her by her parents and by her teachers. But we got other Muslim kids who don't have parents that are teaching them this deen because the parents are too busy out working, trying to make that money, that falus, and they don't have Islamic teachers. All they learning is how to read and sing the Quran, but they know nothing about the Sunnah, nothing about Islamic morality, nothing about Islamic personality, nothing about what makes us distinct. You know, so again, the ones that have no problem with it are the ones who have the proper training, you know, but Most of us don't have that. Anyone else would like to share?
Yeah, Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Yeah, this hadith took me back a little bit. Well, I see why, our garments, is the wear the garment is a protection for us, because I know, being at a fair, fair is big, a lot of people. And one of my children got lost from one of the children supposed to be watching them. And the lady said, she seen me like wandering around, and she asked me, she said, "Are you looking for a child?" I said, "Yes, I am." She was like 2 at the time. And she said, "I remember y'all coming through the gate. It was like 20 of us. All the children were covered. We were me and my sister was covered all up, and it was a fair where they worked at." And the lady, and to hear this hadith, I'm like, wow, people looking at us how we look. And she was able to notice all the children, know that when I said I was looking for my child, she was able to let me know where the child was at. She had took it to the lost and found. But I really, with this hadith, I try to tell my kids, you know what? Back in the day, what happened to us, right? I said that garment, when you cover up, Allah says protection for your children. So I try to really instill it in them still today because of what I went through, So I love that hadith. Is very beautiful, and it just brought back memories to me.
Exactly. Alhamdulillah. And I remember when I was growing up, when I was younger, there was another Muslim girl that was one of my friends, grew up with me. And then, of course, we went to school. They didn't have Muslim schools back then in the 60s. We went to school, to the Kaffir school. And back then in the early, in the 60s, that's when a lot of abductions were going on. People were picking up, well, it's happening today too, but kids were being picked up out the schoolyard. And I remember our parents always said, don't get in a car with a stranger, don't talk to strangers, don't go to strangers. Anyway, there was a pedophile in our neighborhood, and he had already abducted like 3 or 4 kids. And I remember we were in school, and we used to walk home from school. I wore hijab, and my other Muslim friend wore hijab. And our neighbor was walking home with us, and she was just a non-Muslim. She didn't cover up like us. And I remember we used to walk past this car, and it would be the same little yellow car, with jalopy back then. And I'm like, that man looked weird. He would stare at us, look weird. And then one day, my neighbor went missing. Our neighbor went missing. Nobody could find her. And we were like, well, oh, wow. And then they ended up finding her 2 weeks later. She was found in a garbage can. Unfortunately, she had been raped and beaten and killed. And the man that they caught was that same man that we saw in that little yellow jalopy or whatever that type of car, Pinto. I think it was a Pinto.
Oh, I remember those.
Those little ugly little yellow Pintos. And I remember, I'm like, subhanAllah, he was always staring at the 3 of us. That's because he was plotting and planning which one to take. He didn't take me or the other Muslim girl. Because he jabbed up. He took her, her.
How old was she then? How old was she?
I was in elementary school, and this was happening have you guys seen the movie of the 3 girls that were abducted from the west side here in Cleveland? That's back in there. That was right back in those days. Before then, we had a serious problem with child abduction here. Okay. Wow. And like I said, we were in elementary, I would say 5th or 6th grade, because it was elementary school. And like I said, that man in that little yellow Pinto, I remember me and my other little Muslim friend was like, girl, I'd have kicked his butt. We always, kids talk, I'd have beat him up. I'd have did this, I did. But no, I'm like, subhanAllah, that's why he was trying to, which one? He went for the one that wasn't covered. So like you say, it's a protection for us. Us. Yeah, anyone else? Go ahead, Mayleon.
Assalamu
alaikum.
This hadith is like really beautiful to me. Honestly, that story just made me sad. But I think when it comes to like the hijab, I know a lot of people are always complaining about how like oppressive it is. I think it's important, like we always talk about educating yourself about your religion, but also trying to like change your mindset. If you always have a negative, like, perspective on certain things, you're going to end up hating it and you're going to question the law. If you wear the hijab and just be like, okay, maybe this color suits my skin tone, or maybe I should style it up a certain way that makes me comfortable without, making the body look more revealing, it'll make you feel a little bit more comfortable if that's really hard for you. But I'm not saying like you not wearing the hijab is an excuse. Like it's an excuse to not wear it. I'm saying wear it, but just wear it in a way that's like pleasing to Allah and also pleasing, in a way that makes you feel comfortable.
Exactly.
Another thing that I want to like mention is like the thing about like going outside is you never know like who's out there, who's watching you, and it takes me back to a story when I was like in high school. I graduated actually. I graduated from high school and I earned this national scholarship in DC, and I went with my mom. And around that time, I was just coping with my own depression, and it was like taking 4 months to even get over it. And we went on an airplane to DC to get that scholarship. And while I was there, we had like a little party for like, the students. It was like a convention sort of thing. And I told my mom like I was gonna go there because it was like downstairs. She was in the hotel room and I was like downstairs, socializing with the kids sort of. But I think the next day there was a man who came up to me. I didn't even know he was there the whole time. But he came up to me and he was like looking at my mom and he was like, mashallah, I'm so like impressed by your daughter. Her outfit is so beautiful. She was modest. I didn't see her like dancing around with the other, Kaffir girls. And that right there just that touched my heart so much because at that time I was really going through it. And it's like his kind comment that he told me made me feel a lot better about myself at the moment. And then another thing that I want to touch on that we went over yesterday too is like the importance of just like taking self-defense classes. I think it's important because women unfortunately are like the easiest target for men. On rare occasions, you see a man trying to like kidnap another man. Women are more like, I guess, weaker, and like men like to prey on what they think is weak. So I think it's very important to not only dress well, but also like be on guard and take self-defense classes. So that's what I'm taking right for this semester. And like when we were reading this book for our class, and it's talking about like how, your intuition is never wrong. If you have a feeling that someone is like making you seriously uncomfortable, like stay as far as you can away from them. But if you feel like it's a time to like fight back, just choose like a method of like a fighting tool that makes you feel most comfortable and use that to protect yourself at all costs.
Exactly. And that takes us, like I said, back when I was growing up and when Amina Fresno, we knew martial arts. Like I said, I was a black belt by the time I was in junior high because it was a different time, a different era. We had the civil rights and all of that. So the parents back in those days emphasized karate, emphasized taekwondo, emphasized self-defense, not just Muslims, but even the non-Muslims was learning because those were trying times in America's history. Now here we are, fast forward 60 years later to the year 2021, the children don't have to deal with the crap that we dealt with in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. They don't have to deal with that civil crap. So people become more laxed and more comfortable with their kids, not teaching them self-defense, not teaching them morals, not teaching them that. And like, again, Amelione's another one of my students. She grew up on this website. So of course she got all that because her parents made her come here to learn Islam, and her parents enforced that too. But there's other Muslim kids out there. They're just like the Kaffir kids. They have no self-esteem, no good morals because their parents are leaving them alone to the television and to the Kaffirs to teach. Melion takes self-defense. I've been preaching self-defense on this website forever. Most of the kids here have self-defense. Again, we parents have to look at ourselves. We become too comfortable in this society where we're letting things go that parents would never have let go years ago. Give your children the self-esteem that they need. Give them the manners they need, the morality they need. Teach them the deen. It's not all about working and making money. It's about the children, the future of Islam. Okay, go ahead, Sister Norton.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
So I just wanted to say, nowadays, we should be careful who we take as role models because, we have people in Islam who already paved the way for us. We just have to be like them and take what they did into our lives. There's no reason to fit in this world because Allah already told us the world wasn't made for us. He made it for this world is a test for us, and for the other people who are not believers, it's a paradise for them. And in the next life, that's where we're going to be happy. And we shouldn't, let the worldly life deceive us because all it does is, take you to a place you don't want to be at.
Yeah. So again, guys, this is a good hadith, to ponder the history. This is what happened to cause the hijab to be sent down. And the hijab is still in effect because it's for our betterment. Everything that Allah made obligatory, everything that Allah made lawful is good and clean. And everything that Allah made an obligation and lawful is for our betterment. It's for our betterment. And we have to teach that to the children. Nowadays, you have to put that in your daughters' heads when they are young, when they are 6, when they are 7, when they are 8, not wait till they 20 and try to put it in their head. Put it in their head while they are young, that you're beautiful with that hijab on. It makes you distinct. You stand out over others. It represents that you believe in something that other people don't believe in, and that's Allah. We have to enforce these ideas into our children, especially our girls, while they are young. And I always say, teach them self-defense. A girl child just ain't safe in this world. Teach her self-defense so she don't have to put up with an idiot when she do get married. Okay, I'd like to thank everybody for joining and participating in this session of our Hadith class. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.